Coach Winder, thank you for taking time with us off the block. Congratulations on being named the new men's volleyball head coach at Pepperdine. So let's just jump right into it. How did the hire happen?
It happened pretty quick. It wasn't something I was anticipating or thinking about, and but just I've of course played at Pepperdine. I've talked to Marv probably every week since I was 16 years old, so I had a pretty lengthy relationship with him, and known the athletic director Steve for a while, and yeah, so I think that we kind of started talking about it once David decided to go to Texas, and of course I know the university really well. They know me really well, and so we were able to kind of move through some of the, what would this be like kind of thing. I've worked there, I played there, I've worked in a couple of roles there actually at Pepperdine, and know the university really well. So yeah, it just was some conversations and moved pretty quickly once we started thinking about it, as we both knew what we needed to do to make it happen. And so I'm really fortunate and excited and feel very honored and humbled to have the opportunity to be back at Pepperdine and to be leading the men's program for sure.
So obviously you're coming from the Fresno State women's team to the men's team at Pepperdine. With all the coaches like Coach Hunt going from the men's side to the women's side, why make the change from the women's side to the men's side?
I think for a lot of reasons, everybody kind of switches back and forth a little bit in the coaching profession. And, I think for me, it's not so much about men or women. It's the opportunity to coach with the community at Pepperdine is pretty special. I think about the leadership of Jim Gash, the president. I think about the athletic director. The other coaches at Pepperdine are fantastic. Marv is there, Paul and Matt, the guys on the team. That is, to me, is what I'm really excited about being a part of. And certainly by being in the men's game, it allows me to be a little bit more with my family as well. I've got 4 little kids now. And so the opportunity to spend some more time with them and have them a little bit more involved in on things is something that's really exciting for me as a dad. And it's something that we've always dreamed of, is just to be able to have, live that lifestyle with our kids being involved, because we spend a lot of time on the road and traveling and doing some different things.
I realize this is a few years back, but what is your favorite memory of at Pepperdine?
Oh. I don't know what's appropriate here or not, but I think there's a lot of good ones, a lot of tough ones. I don't know. There's too many. Certainly, like at the top of the list is always going to be winning the national championship. That was a really incredible moment, and so that's an easy one. But along the way, like some of the greatest moments are the practices and the training sessions. Like I can remember a lot of really challenging practices where we overcame, and a lot of different moments along the way, like in practices or moments as a team traveling around Europe as a team a little bit, and just some great times along the way. So tons, but definitely winning the national championship is up there as one of the best moments at Pepperdine.
Going back to talking about the men's game versus women's game, what would be the biggest adjustment for you as a coach coming from the women's side to the men's side?
I think I've learned a ton from being in the women's game. It's incredibly competitive. It's incredibly just so many more people that are involved, so many more teams, so many more coaches, so many more players. So the margins are really, really tight, and the organization of the programs is at a really high level. And so I've learned a lot in terms of just how to manage a high level Division I, sports team, and what's kind of required from the business standpoint or recruiting standpoint or fundraising or compliance, all that stuff. There's just so much more. Coaching is like 15-20% of like what we actually do. So much of it is the other stuff. And so I've learned a ton on how to manage that other stuff. And then I think with the game is also just the women's game. There's not the athleticism that there is in men's volleyball. The guys are touching 12 feet or whatever. And so it's just such a different physicality is so different, and the standards are different. Side out at 73% versus 68% is a big gap. And so I think just adjusting the standards a little bit, teaching some of the different techniques, but definitely I've always had a huge emphasis on the individual skill development of the athletes. That's just been something that is so critical in women's volleyball to improve the level of the players, and so that'll continue. As just as a tremendous focus on the individual skill development of each player on our team.
What should we as fans see as the biggest difference between your team that you'll put on the court in 2023 versus the Coach Hunt coach team?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out in a couple of years. But David and I coached together for Marv. David was the manager when I was playing there, and so I've known him well, and I think we've really grown up in a lot of ways in similar paths. And so it's not going to be drastically different. Even anyone in men's volleyball pretty much play the same ways. I think the biggest difference will probably be in just maybe some of the where we spend a little bit more time. I think Marv always said you get good at what you spend your time doing, and so ultimately it's going to be more about choices that we make along the way. And who's to say David wouldn't make those same decisions next year? Like, each team is so different, and each group is so different. And so as we look at the group we have coming in next year, it's different than the group we had this last year. We graduated a couple ball control guys that are maybe a little smaller, playing a little faster. And so we're going to need to, score points in different ways. There's a lot of ways to win volleyball games, and not everybody has to play exactly the same way. And the teams I've always coached never play the same way every single time. I think I've done 6-2 offenses and 5-1 offenses, and tons of left side, tons of right side, tons of middle. Like, there's just lots of different ways to win, and ultimately each team is unique, and I need to coach and treat each team differently and separately, and not kind of live in the past or think about what's to come. It's like, how do we get the most out of this group that we have now, and whatever it takes to get them to that level.
Of the returning pieces, what really excites you the most?
Honestly, probably the culture of the group excites me the most. David's a fantastic coach and spent a lot of time on that. And then the program's been like that for 40 years. It's a special culture. It's a special environment. The quality of individuals on the team, other athletes in the program, support staff, like, it's just an incredible place to be around so many outstanding individuals. And so I think it's really exciting for me to be back in the group with a lot of people that are really committed to doing the best they can on and off the court. And I know that, that'll drive a lot for us. And then there's some extremely talented players that are exciting to watch, to coach, to be a part of, and that's always exciting. It's always challenging. And so I'm excited to get to work with a lot of those guys.
Owing to my editor, Vinny Lips, I'm going to throw you a curveball question that is not to volleyball related. I asked for help on this one. This one comes from Hawaii. What is your favorite order from Lily's?
My favorite order from Lily's? Always the breakfast burrito. Yeah, it's the only thing.
Go wrong, right?
I think it's the only thing I've ever gotten there in 30 years.
All right. So, but what specifically on the breakfast burrito? Do you have a favorite meat?
It's always extra crispy bacon and some potatoes in there and their little hot salsa. Pretty simple, but yeah.
Nice. All right. Probably the biggest suspense for me is who are your assistants going to be for this year or this coming year?
Yeah, Matt and Paul are going to keep going, and I think that I'm excited. I've known Paul. I played with him for 3 years. I've known Matt for a long time, and haven't coached with either of them. But I know the guys respect him. The other coaches in the league respect him. The players respect him. And I respect them. And I think I'm excited to help, just to work alongside with them and share what I know and learn from them, and just kind of go about it together as a group. I think that's something that Marv always did. Sorry. Something Marv always did with me when I was coaching with him, was that we were all in it together. And I was offering guys scholarships or doing the schedule or, you know, a lot of the recruiting, whatever it was. And he just always treated me as an equal. And even though I didn't know what I was doing when I started coaching with him. And so I think it's the same way now. It's just that we're all in this thing together. And, you know, there's 20 some guys on the roster. We've got 3, 4, 5 different staff, and we're all important. We're all just have different roles and responsibilities. And so I'm excited to get everybody on the same page and just contributing in a lot of different ways.
So you're going to keep Marv as head coach emeritus? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Marv is always going to be there. And the only way he leaves is if he decides to leave on his own, but he's definitely there, and he better stay there as long as I'm there.
He ain't leaving. Last question for you. What are your expectations for the season?
Yeah, I think it's always just, you know, the standard is always the same at Pepperdine. It's absolutely every year is to be the best at the end of the year. And ultimately you want to be in the mix at the end and be able to play with the big boys. And, you know, it's 2 points here, a point there, right? The margins are super tight at the end of the season if you're good enough to be there. And so I think that's what I think about with this group is just how do we've been in the mix at the end, but how do we kind of get, you know, 4 or 5, you know, 10 more points going our way, and what are the skills and things we need to learn to make some improvements to get to the level we want to be at. So I think we've got to work hard. I think we've got some chances, and but you know, for sure the goal is to be the best at the end of the season.
Well, thank you for taking time with us off the block. We congratulate you on the hire, and wish you nothing but the best of success in 2023 and in your Pepperdine career.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Bye.